Well, we got a new working title for Deadpool 3, and if you're a fan of this channel, you know that sometimes this does give us some clues about the plot. Let's take a couple minutes to dive into the working title, what X-Men storylines it might relate to, and what I think it actually really means. Well, if you've been paying attention to all the news, you know Deadpool 3 is currently scheduled to start shooting in just a couple of weeks. Well, barring any unexpected delays like the current WGA strike. Now, in case you didn't know, quite often movies have a working title. This is basically to obscure the shooting from the general public, but fans and insiders always get these details early on, and it doesn't serve much of a purpose except for a little bit of extra cover. Now, fans often like to read a little bit into these working titles, and the one for Deadpool 3 is pretty interesting because it does tie to a very specific storyline in Marvel Comics. Now, this comes via the Cosmic Circus, and like we always say, if it's not from Marvel Studios or Kevin Feige, or maybe in this case Ryan Reynolds, we have to take it with a grain of salt. But what they are saying is that the Merc with the Mouse threequel working title is Tidal Wave, and will use the banner Richmond Street Productions. Now, like we were saying, this could be a hint to what part of the movie is, but it's really difficult to tell, and we don't want to really read too much into it. Quite often these can be inside jokes at the studio or even other obscure references, but there is a particular storyline in Ultimate Marvel Comics that it could pull from, and it surrounds a character we have heard is going to be in the movie. Now, there was an event in the pages of Ultimatum where Magneto unleashed a massive tsunami as revenge for the Ultimates, that universe's Avengers, killing his children. This could be a strong possibility, but first I think we should consider one of the other and fairly obvious paths this could be leading us down. For me, looking at that title, what I see ultimately is potential for a tidal wave of characters, a deluge of familiar faces from the Fox universe, along with the new MCU that we have been told are part of their project, and that's likely what the working title is a nod to. As of right now, we have multiple characters from the original Deadpool movies, including Vanessa, Dopinder, Blind Owl, Peter, and Colossus set to return, along with, of course, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. But then on the MCU side, there have been multiple reports of Agent Mobius, aka Owen Wilson, and Miss Minutes being tied to this movie and its time travel aspects. That to me seems way more believable than some storyline about Magneto bringing a tidal wave. Although, one of the ongoing rumors is that Ian McKellen, along with Patrick Stewart and a couple of those old X-Men characters, will indeed be part of this movie. Now, one of the supposed plot leaks for this movie, and this could be a spoiler, so if you don't want to hear it, it's a good time to click away, but there have been reports that this movie will indeed focus on an alternate timeline where Magneto has taken out all the world's heroes, including the Avengers, and even reportedly has Thor's hammer. And the story would involve Wolverine and Deadpool having to take out this evil version of the character. Now, I find this plot pretty thin, but it would be a pretty interesting direction to take the characters and give us a sort of combined storyline that ultimately does drop Deadpool into the MCU. None of this has been confirmed, but that working title focused on Magneto and a plot leak that's focused on Magneto seem to have a little bit of synergy, so I do think we should give it a little bit of thought. If it actually turns out to be true, we're gonna have to wait and see.